Welcome everybody to YMCA of San Francisco's Classrooms for All. My name is Crystal and today we're going to be doing blubber science. You heard me right, blubber science. But before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and take off my mask because I just came from the outside world and you know, we got to be safe out there. So like I said, we're going to be doing blubber science. And for those of you that really like whales, polar bears, and penguins, just like me, this is gonna be, I think, really interesting because all of those animals have one thing in common. They live in really, really cold places. I know that it can get cold by our house and we're like, need a jacket. But animals, they don't really have jackets. They don't have clothes. They're not walking around with clothes. So, the secret to them staying warm is their blubber. What's blubber, you might ask? Well, blubber is a fun little layer of fat that all of these animals have inside their bodies to keep them warm from really cold Arctic waters and just Arctic weather. So, that being said, we already talked about how whales and Arctic mammals have that thick layer of fat under their skin, and that's what keeps them warm. But what we didn't know is that layer of fat, that layer of blubber, can go from a few inches to a whole foot thick in their body. So just imagine, there's like a whole layer that could be, well, a little bigger than my foot. For those of you that have feet at home, go ahead and take a look at your feet. And if your feet were 12 inches long, some animals have blubber that's that big, which is crazy, but cool, right? So, blubber helps them stay warm. We know this, but also what it does is that layer of fat that's stored helps keep nutrients in their body. And we need nutrients to live and to thrive and to have energy and to do our thing every day. But when it's really cold and food is scarce, there's not as much food for animals to eat around, they use their blubber, which is their stored fat and their stored nutrients, to stay alive, pretty much. Which is really cool that they have this whole storage facility in their body that, one, helps them stay warm and keeps them filled with nutrients for an extended period of time. Are you guys still with me? I hope so, because this is where it's gonna get pretty cool. Cool like the Arctic weather? That's a good one, right? I know. Okay, so as we do our experiment, I'm gonna finally go through the supplies that we're gonna need today. And also, feel free to follow along right now if you have those supplies with you, but also if you don't, that's totally okay, and you can do this activity anytime later after you watch it with any trusted adult that you have. So, I'm gonna quickly go through what our supplies are, and then we're just gonna jump right on in to our activity. Can I get a whoop whoop? Whoop whoop! Awesome. All right, so for starters, we're gonna need water, some cold water. You can use one big bowl, but also I'm using these two smaller bowls. You'll see why as we go through our experiment. You're also gonna need like a spatula or a spoon, maybe both. You never know, it's just nice to have. And you're gonna need some Ziploc bags. Preferably some sandwich-sized Ziploc bags. So these little guys here. And then, my favorite. Well, actually, these are both my favorite. You're gonna need some ice because that's gonna help us get our water to the temperature that we need it. And to create our blubber, we're gonna need some vegetable shortening, which you find in your basic baking aisle. It's next to the oil, in case you need to locate it. And if you have it, a thermometer is really awesome to have because we're gonna use this to take all the different temperatures of the water, of how the experiment works. It's gonna be really helpful and cool to see. So if you have one, get one. And of course, it's always important to have a towel when you're working with somewhat messy ingredients. So we're gonna jump on in. We're gonna jump right on in, and it's gonna be a blast. First things first, I'm gonna put my hand in just an empty Ziploc bag because we wanna find where our baseline temperature is. So we're gonna use our thermometer for that. So, if I just hold this thermometer, not in water, but with a bag around my hand, I'm at a cool 80 degrees in my hand. It is cold outside, so that could have a lot to do with it. So we're gonna put that up on the board so we don't forget. Baseline temp. All right, just so we don't forget that. We're gonna put it up on the board. All right, so we're gonna jump right onto this. Pulling my sleeves up, and we're gonna make sure our shortening is opened. Ooh, interesting. I wonder what this smells like. It smells like nothing. Cool. So, shortening, little background on that, has a whole lot of fat in it. A lot of times people use it in place of butter or margarine when they're cooking because this has a bunch of fat. And remember, what is blubber? It's a whole layer of what? Fat. That's what it is. So that's why we're using shortening today, because it's gonna give us the same simulation of what blubber feels like around your hand. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna take a Ziploc bag, like so. We're gonna make sure it's open, and we're gonna turn it inside out. We gotta make sure our Ziploc bag is turned inside out. Yeah. All right, so as soon as your Ziploc bag is turned inside out, what we are going to do, here comes the little messy part that I'm excited about, is we're gonna put our hand inside, just so it's there, you know? So we know it can fit our hand in there, and it's ready. All right, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get the shortening out of the container, some of it, and I'm gonna take the shortening and I'm gonna like press it onto the bag, like so. I'm gonna spread my shortening around. It's kind of gross, but cool at the same time. Maybe I'll try my spoon instead. I don't know. I'm gonna see what works better to like smear it on there, because we really gotta get it smeared, you know, to layer it up. Perfection, perfection. We're really getting somewhere. All right, so now that we have our blubber layer on there, it took a minute. Looks a little messy, but it's okay. I'm gonna put that down for a moment, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna take another Ziploc bag. We're gonna leave it facing the right way, and we're gonna get this Ziploc bag inside. Inside. Inside, inside. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my ice and I'm gonna put a handful of ice in each water container. I think I'll give them both another handful. I'm feeling spicy today, folks. Feeling spicy. So the next thing I'm gonna wanna do is I'm gonna take a temperature of my containers of water, just so I can know that we're starting at pretty much the same place. Slowly moving down. So currently, this water is at 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's go ahead and dry this off. We're gonna check my other container. This one's at 60 degrees Fahrenheit as well. Nice. So we know that they're equal. However, I'm feeling a little spicy, like I said, and I'm gonna make this a little colder. There it is. All right, I'm gonna take my thermometer again. Perfection. We're gonna put it in. All right, it's at a cool 59 degrees for that one. And the same for this one. Okay, so we're gonna write that on the board so we don't forget either. Alrighty. Now that we have that, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take another Ziploc bag. Oh, can't use that. Got a little blubber on there. Gotta make sure there's no blubber. Because remember, we have our blubber bag, which I'm gonna put here next to my left container. And now I'm gonna make a no blubber bag. So this is not gonna have a layer of fat around it. I'm gonna turn it inside out, like I did with my first bag. And I'm gonna take another bag, like so. So remember, one is inside out, one is right side out. So I'm gonna put this bag inside the other Ziploc. This is where the fun begins. I'm also gonna take the temperature of this little bag. All right. So inside the Ziploc bag, I'm not touching it. I'm not touching the thermometer, I mean. It is about 65 degrees in there. So remember, inside the no blubber Ziploc bag, it's 65 degrees. I'm gonna write that down too. No blub. All right. Now I'm gonna see what the temperature is inside of my blubber bag. It is 70 degrees. Still blubber bag. .70 Fahrenheit. So, these are our starting points. The Ziploc bag itself earlier was 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Then we moved it down. Well, it's probably 80 degrees because my hand was around it. Body heat, gotta love it. Water is now 59 degrees Fahrenheit. The no blubber bag, when I did not have my hand touching the thermometer itself, was 65 degrees Fahrenheit. And the blubber bag, without me touching the thermometer, was 70 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, here we go. This is when it gets swifty. So what we're gonna do, trying to figure out which one we wanna test first. Let's definitely test the no blubber. So no blubber bag is going into this water, and we're gonna see how long it takes for my hand to get cold, and we're gonna take the temperature of inside the bag once it is in the water and my hand is cold. Oh, that's chilly. Got cold pretty instantly. All right, now we're gonna take the temp inside the bag. It also looks like this water got colder as the ice melted in it. Ooh, yep, it's cold in there. That's cold. That is a cold boy. All right, so that, my friends, was about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. This is chilly. So we're gonna write that down. No blubber in the water. It was definitely 50 degrees Fahrenheit in that bag, and my hand felt it. Whew. All right, now we're gonna test out our blubber bag. Gotta love the blubber. All right, hand is going in, and we're in. And my hand is not cold. Wowza. Wow. That's pretty cool because I don't feel the coldness on my hand, and also the temperature of inside this blubber bag stayed the same as before I put it in water, which I was not completely expecting, to be honest. Blubber and water. Which is pretty cool. Which means when these animals with a huge layer of blubber swim in Arctic waters, have to deal with Arctic winds, are looking for food, their blubber keeps their internal temperature the same. It keeps it pretty stable, which is how they survive those temperatures. My mind is blown. I really hope you all try this at home because that was cool. Well, now that we've learned how our wonderful Arctic friends stay warm, that really concludes our experiment for the day. And I really hope that you all had a fun time learning about how whales and penguins and polar bears stay warm and what their blubber does and all that jazz. Thank you so much for joining me for this wonderful blubber science activity. And please join us at YMCASF.org/classroomsforall for more classes. See you again real soon. Bye.
Did you know that YMCA of San Francisco never closed? When shelter-in-place happened, we could no longer provide in-person programming. We quickly shifted to provide youth and family programming virtually. As early as April, we started providing on-demand activities in our YMCA of San Francisco YouTube channel.
For this video, we're going to be making a geodesic dome.
Today, we're going to be making a hovercraft. The science around this activity is really awesome.
In addition, we have a regular schedule of activities for our youth and families to join live. We feature read-alouds, yoga, family Zumba, arts and crafts, drawing clubs, and more. So don't miss out on our virtual youth and family offerings. Visit www.ymcasf.org ymcasf.org for more info and class schedules.